there's a belief that has gone on for quite some time in some women's minds. And sometimes it's because of just the upbringing, how the family and cultural settings are. People believe that all they need to do, their greatest achievement as a woman, is to get married and have that man's baby. And then, well, if he won't marry you, then just have his baby. But ladies, these days, men are not falling for the okie doke. They are not falling for the okie doke. They are not going to be with you even if you have their baby. And some women, they're content with that. They'll just be there and arguing and carrying on. There are men that, not only that, if you keep doing that, there are men that will kill you. They just get tired of it and they will kill you. So be very careful in allowing the enemy to use you as women, because your intentions was all wrong. I'm not saying that that man should not be taking responsibilities for his actions, because there would be no baby if had he been responsible and not done anything with you in the first place. And so often people are worried about the pleasures of lust more than even their own health. So they're having intercourse and they're doing all types of stuff, and okay, you're going, whoosh, she's not pregnant. But what about your next HIV test? What about your next any type of communicable disease that you can get? Because you can get diseases even if you're using condoms. You can get herpes, you can get cold sores, you can get genital warts. But let me stick to the topic, guys. You're not going to get that man these days with a baby. There's some men, they will refuse to take a DNA test because you can't make him do it. Unless there's some place they can. But he doesn't have to claim you. And so now you live a life where you're unhappy, you're miserable, you're hurt. And what happens sometimes? Displacement kicks in, right? So because you're frustrated and you're angry with your life and you're angry about your life's choices, what do? You would some mothers take it out on their children. And sometimes you don't take it out on your children, but now you have this hard and difficult life because you can't just do what you want to do. And some mothers may still try to do the things that they want to do. You know, when I was growing up, I had my son, and his dad and I was married, but it did not last. And because we got married for the wrong reasons, and we weren't Christians. And guys, I guess for me, I did not get the full brunt of everything completely because I was in the military, but there was a time when I got out for a bit just to be able to just focus on my son. But that was tough. And eventually I was able to just get back in after he was at a certain age, you know, but it was difficult. But what can happen is, even though we were married and we were no longer together, it was hard. But I can say this, guys, from a place of compassion and understanding, that some men these days, they don't care if you have a baby for them. They're not going to claim the baby. They're not going to go to any course. You could argue to your horse, to whatever. He does not care. He does not want to have anything to do with you. And again, men are different. They're not feeling like they have to marry you because you have a baby for them. They will leave you high and dry. And then there's some of them, if you push and push and push for certain things, they will make that whole custody situation a living hell between the both of you. And sometimes they're in a position where they make more money than you. And so if they get a good enough attorney or pick up some things about your life, while it's difficult to do, that man can literally take that baby from you. It's hard to do now. You have to be shown that you are unfit. But if you are, and he can prove it, it can happen. And there's some men, they refuse. They are not going to let you, they're not going to pay child support. They'd rather see you dead than to do it. The games and the chances, the enemy has upped the ante quite a bit. So the things that people used to do back in the days, calling the man job, calling the man's wife, or just making problems in his life, the level of evil has escalated so much that death is an option. Burying you in a shallow grave is an option. Shooting you while you're pregnant is an option. That's the way people are thinking these days. So you have to be very careful. I'm not saying that when a person gets you pregnant that they're not supposed to be responsible, but remember, when you are playing in this arena of trying to entrap somebody, anytime the enemy puts that in your mind, there's always going to be something that's going to happen. You're either going to end up being with a man who never commits to you, never claims the baby, mistreats you, make the custody between the both of you hell to punish you because he never wanted to be with you in the first place. He never wanted to have a baby with you in the first place. But I will always say to men, you can't say to a woman, well, you chose to have the baby. No, you chose to have the baby too, inadvertently, because you cannot depend on a woman to say that she is on birth controls or whatever. You can't depend on that. You're not as far as believers are concerned, Christians, we should be abstaining. But there's some of you still do it anyway. You still have sex, right? But then on top of it, you are just you're not using protection, and she gets pregnant, and then you go, oh well, she's choosing to have the baby. Well, the thing you got to think, sometimes the woman has her own intentions. Maybe she would have aborted the baby, but she wants your baby. But the overall thing is, God chose to preserve the life of that child. And so now you can punish. There have men out there who will punish that woman because I told you I didn't want to have a baby and you had the baby anyway. But another way to look at it is this: you still chose to have a baby. You were willing to gamble and take a risk to do that. And so now the child is here. Do the right thing. Whatever you do for the child has nothing to do with the mother. Too often men are thinking that way. I'm not going to give her anything because why? It's not like you can hand the baby the money directly and the baby's going to go and care for what it needs to and get what it needs. The baby cannot. And you have to understand, child support is to supplement the income that the mother is already putting out there. Granted, yes, there are mothers out there who are not taking care of their baby and they're not doing what they need to do. But that's why it's important that you watch who you have a baby with. Because once you plant that seed in that woman, if you have a child with a banshee, then you can expect to have that type of life. If she is wild and she's knuckling throughout the community, acting wild, acting crazy, you may think it's cute. But the minute you give her your seed, you're connected to that type of rough and craziness. But ladies, I want to tell you, that man's not going to be with you just because you have a baby for him. He will completely ignore you and never claim that baby. That baby could have his face. You can try to call him on Maury, so you can talk about, look at his eyes, look at his face, Maury. That man will not show up because he wants nothing to do with you. And what does he do? Go on with his life, marry who he wants to marry, be with who he wants to be with. And sometimes he's already married and you decided you want to be with him. And now he's ignoring you and your child, not making any claims, because that man knows the minute he takes a DNA test, he's done. But he can claim, I never been with you. Doesn't matter if that child looks just like him. He will not claim the child, and now you're going to be hurt. And now you want to go to his wife. You want to make all this noise. That man, no matter how much he will tell you that he's having problems at home and what his wife is not, he will cave in your whole forehead for his wife. He will kill you for his wife. He may not want that baby around his family. Why? Because he doesn't want his children to look at him differently and see that he has hurt his children. So he does not look at the child the way that he needs to. So the best thing to do is raise your child the best way you can. If you even want to go and you want to say, all right, I'm going to get child support, you go and you do things in decency and in order, and you have to understand that man may never claim you, because you cannot just say he's the dad. That man, unless there are countries and places that forces him to take a paternity test, if he doesn't, you have to live with those consequences. And ask God to help you to raise a child the best way that you can, because he will help you. He can be your provider. He can be your father. He can be everything that you need. But you have to let go of your motives. So those of you right now, you're with someone and it's in your mind to try to get pregnant, to try to trap him, to try to be a part of his life, you may be hearing this for a reason. And you may be hearing this now because you're learning it now. So learn your lessons. Learn your lessons and just move ahead. Ladies, you're single right now. You don't have children. So don't try to make something happen. Don't try to force something to happen that's not meant to be. All right. Because like I said, they're not falling for the okie doke anymore. They're just simply not going to be with you no matter what the situation is. All right, guys.